Coming up on Chasing the Natty, the annual way too early expert mock draft is in the books, and we have Campus to Canton's own Chris Moxley on the show to hit us with some insight and break down round by round players that were overdrafted, players that were underdrafted, and players that weren't drafted at all. So Chris, let's get to it, man.
Looking to throw. Caught. Tony off and running. He doesn't lose foot racers. Touchdown Miami.
Jackson going to the end zone. What a night, Bo Sparks. Make it 4.
Shakes through a couple of tacklers. Still on his feet. Hawkins to the end zone. Unbelievable.
This is Chasing the Natty, a college fantasy football podcast.
All right, welcome in everyone. I'm Chris Battistel, co-host of the Chasing the Natty podcast. I hope you guys are having a wonderful ride to your work this Monday morning. Jared is off counting penguins in the Antarctic, but fear not, we got you covered. We're the College Fantasy Football Podcast on the Campus to Canton Podcast Network. You can find us on all your podcast feeds and on YouTube every Monday morning at 6 a.m. sharp. If you want to support the great work we do, head over to campustocanton.com and subscribe to any of the phenomenal tiers. We have content ranging all sorts of college football games, whether it's CFF, Devi, C2C, College IDP, College DFS. If you play it, we've got content, tools, rankings, and everything you need to succeed. In fact, if you now want to support the show even further, make sure you sign up for one of our yearly membership tiers using promo code Natty to get 10% off your yearly membership. Again, that's promo code Natty, Natty. If you can't do that, of course, you can show some love by leaving a comment and subscribe on the YouTube side of things, and on the podcast side of things, leave a 5-star review and make sure you are following the show. Not only does that show support, but also the game, it shows support to the game of college fantasy football in general. If you have any other further questions or just want to get in touch for whatever reason, you can find me and the show on Twitter at FFChrisB, Jared at CFF_Jared, and the show at Chasing the Natty. And the guy beside me today, I mentioned it at the top, the handsome Chris Moxley. Chris, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing well. I'm excited to be on. That was a pretty good spiel. Like I got to be honest. That was pretty good. I understand why Jared called you up to the big leagues. And no, that I'm excited to be here. I have avoided what we're going to be talking about today on purpose, as was asked by Jared. So I'm coming in kind of blind, like potentially most of the listeners. So it'll be fun to react live and kind of see what some early thoughts are.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to your insight on the show. Of course, we had to deal with some technical difficulties on my side before we were jumped in, but we got it. We got it figured out, and we're ready to go. We're ready to jump in to this way too early mock draft, 9 rounds of complete fun. But before we do that, we got to hit some ads, so let's roll it.
Hey guys, Austin here to talk for a brief moment about Home Field Apparel, the best place to snag clothing for all my favorite schools and teams. Whether it's tees, sweatshirts, hats, joggers, or pretty much anything in between, Home Field Apparel has retro designs with a modern twist to satisfy fans from Ohio State to Drexel to Colorado School of the Mines. Plus, it's some of the comfiest clothing that I own. Use our promo code CAMPUS2CANTON, that's campus, the number 2 Canton at checkout, for 15% off your first purchase. What's up, guys? Austin here again to let you know about our partnership with Fast Draft, a best ball and DFS platform that hosts a ton of different contests. With the season over and season-long CFF best ball behind us, I know I'm looking for new contests that can scratch my drafting itch, and I think I have found just the thing. Fast Draft has a rookie-only contest called Origins. Each draft has 8 teams in it and is 6 rounds long. And as I've mentioned earlier, you only draft incoming 2026 rookies. I know I plan on max entering this thing, and I think it's going to be a ton of fun. So head on over to Fast Draft, and when you sign up, use code C2C, that's C2C, for a deposit match up to $50. Happy drafting.
We are back. Make sure you check out the Fast Draft application. You can be able to draft rookies and all kinds of great drafting. And of course, check out the Home Field Apparel website and get your favorite college football team apparel. Chris, we've had some, before we drop into this mock draft, we've had some big news. I mean, across the college fantasy football or college football landscape. Of course, we had Trinidad Chambliss granted eligibility and will return to Ole Miss. And then we've had some teams come up from the FCS level to the FBS level. Where would you like to start first, my man?
Let's start with this North Dakota State move, because I think that this is very emblematic of the current reality of college football, which is one of the best rivalries in the sport is North Dakota State, South Dakota State, right?
Yep.
Awesome rivalry. And now they're not even playing in the same football subdivision. Like, that kind of stinks. That was my first thought when I really thought about this. I was like, man, we're losing that rivalry, and it's always a great win. And both teams are at the top every single year for the most part. I mean, it's a really, really, really fun rivalry. My second thought was, do we think that they're the best or second best team now in the Mountain West? Because like, generally speaking, they power rated a top 35, 40 level every single year. Like, that's really good.
Yep.
They have the resources to compete. That's not really the issue. So I'm honestly kind of excited. I know that they are, I think it's 2 years that they can't compete in a bowl.
2 seasons, yeah.
Or make the playoffs. I know they're petitioning it to have that change. I don't know why it would, to be honest. I mean, they're pretty consistent about it, but it'd be cool. I think the team's going to be competitive. The infrastructure is there. Maybe we see South Dakota State come in a few years, but like, I think they have money problems internally and whatnot. So I don't know, but it is a very significant move for the Mountain West.
Yeah. I mean, after the 2 seasons, they're poised to be instant contenders in their conference, absolutely. And then another team moving up, Sacramento State, going to the MAC, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, so that's another big one. We're getting, as college fantasy football players, we're getting 6 to 8 viable maybe options with both teams moving up.
I don't really know what to make of the Sacramento State roster. It's been a very competitive program really for the last few years. I mean, that's where Scadaboo played before Arizona State, and that they've kind of produced quite a few like higher end transfer players. So I think they're going to be pretty good. I think we'll get some. I mean, we'll get some running back action out of North Dakota State for sure. I mean, that's a program that has put players into the NFL, and I think they have like a pretty iconic brand of football that they'll just stick to, and they are tight enough where they'll just win them games anyway. Like, there won't be a philosophical change there.
Yep, agreed. So, and then the other hot topic, which has been hot across the college fantasy football landscape over the past 2 months, month and a half, quarterback Trinidad Chambliss getting reinstatement or eligibility to play in his 5th year, going back to Ole Miss. What's your take on that one?
Yeah, so I was not surprised that he was denied eligibility originally. That's just kind of how these cases work. The judge granted the injunction, and I assume he'll play the year. And he's a really interesting story because I think he could have gotten drafted, and I don't think he's like a high-end NFL guy.
Sure.
Like, I do think a team would take a shot on him in like the 4th or the 5th round. Like, I think that was super in the picture. Is he getting more money at Ole Miss? Probably. Like, I don't know what a 5th round draft pick makes, but I'm pretty sure he's making more money to stay with the Rebels. So good for him. Good for college fantasy. I guess we were just arguing over like tonsil stones essentially at the end of the day.
That's what it came
It
down
just
to.
feels so ridiculous, but
Yeah.
I mean, I'm happy for the kid, for sure, and I think Ole Miss is definitely excited to have him back because I think they needed a high-end quarterback, and I'm not sure there's another one in that program right now.
Heartbreaking.
I'm a little skeptical of the backup situation.
Yeah.
Personally.
Like Deuce Knight, you mean?
Yeah, I just this is kind of going off topic, but I don't know that he was going to be ready to start this year.
Gotcha.
We saw him play really well against Mercer, but he's
Yeah.
a really, really raw player.
Yep.
Like, I think they really want a year from him to sit and learn a little bit and in a system that I think is fine for him.
Yeah. Yeah. So Trinidad Chambliss, where would you potentially slot him as a top 10 guy coming back to Ole Miss?
I mean, I think so. The problem at first glance, I want to say, yeah, like that makes sense. I think a lot of the magic is Kiffin.
Sure.
So it makes me a little like I don't know that I could take him in the top 12, but we've already seen proof of concept.
Yep.
But I've also seen proof of concept of like every quarterback in the Ole Miss offense or the Kiffin offense, I should say, do really well.
Yeah.
So I find it really hard to believe that there's not a lot of that going on. So yeah, I think he's a top 15 quarterback. I don't know that I'm going to be the one who's drafting him.
Gotcha.
Even though
Yeah.
I don't think he's a bad player.
Yeah.
It feels uncertain, right?
Sure. Yeah. Of course, if the value's there, you're going to pick him up. If he drops to where he should be going, absolutely. He did lose a lot of his wide receiving core as well, but he's bringing in Jonte Cook and Darryl Gill. So it's going to be interesting to see what he does as a second year full starter with Ole Miss. So a lot of hot topic with Trinidad Chambliss. He's been in the news for the past little bit now, and it's good to finally see it settled. Now we know what we're walking in with.
Yeah, it was good. It was good that we got clarity. I mean, I'm sure Ole Miss would have liked clarity like 2 months ago.
Sure, yeah, I'm sure he would have liked some clarity too. Yeah.
Everything, but they brought in Deuce, and so I understood they kind of had all their bases covered anyway. I mean, like 10,000 feet view, they handled the Kiffin transition really well.
Yeah,
and Chambliss kind of getting that extra year really was kind of like icing on, or like frosting on the cake, or whatever the expression is. But I think you can be, as an Ole Miss fan, like as happy as it could have realistically gone.
Yep. Yeah, that's fair. All right, let's hop in. Trinidad Chambliss was not drafted in this way too early mock draft. We had set some parameters to the drafters before that we will not be drafting, Omar Cooper, who hadn't declared by the time we were doing this draft, and Trinidad Chambliss, who wasn't settled the time during this draft. But Deuce Knight was drafted in this draft, and you'll see where he landed. So, Chris, without further ado, let's jump into the 2026 way too early mock draft. We're going to break this down round by round. We're not going to tell you exactly who drafted who, but we are going to talk and thank the drafters who hopped in. At the 101 was Nate Marquise from Campus to Canton. The 201 was, or the 102, sorry, John Lobb from Fantrax, and the College Fantasy Football Hall of Fame.com. I was pick 3. Pick 4 was Eric Froton from NBC Sports and Fantasy Points. Pick 5 was Chris K from Campus to Canton. Pick 6 was Joe Arpazzi from collegefantasyrain.com. Pick 7 was Elliot Mays from Fantasy Points, also known as Bacon Fueled. Pick 8, Justin Leo, Volume Pigs from Campus to Canton and Volume Pigs. 9th was Jeremy Miller and Willie Barnett from CFF Lists. 10th was Mike Bainbridge from the CFF site. 12th was Justice and Luke Probasco from the G5 Hive. And 12th was Josh Chevalier from Fantasy Points as well. There wasn't many rules, but Jared did give us some roster constrictions. We had to draft at least 2 quarterbacks, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, 1 tight end, and 1 flex. Chris, any other questions before we jump into this?
No, I know that the tight end is always a hot topic here because Jared has a tight end selected for, the purpose of having this discussion.
Yeah.
So I always wonder. I mean, you have to take a tight end in the first 10 rounds. A lot of these tight ends, I think, go later in real drafts. But I do
Sure,
think it's
that's
a
fair.
good discussion point, especially this early.
Yep, agreed. All right, let's get into the first round of the draft. I'll read them off, and then we'll break it down. All right, Chris, does that work?
That works for me.
All right, so at the 101 was the University of Miami wide receiver, freshman phenom Malachi Toney. 102 was Ohio State wide receiver Jeremiah Smith. 103 was the first running back taken off the board, Oklahoma State running back Caleb Hawkins. 104 was Amari Thomas from the University of Houston. 105 was Ahmad Hardy from Missouri. 106 was Cam Dickey from Texas Tech. 107, Jordan Marshall from Michigan. 108, Antoine Raymond from Rutgers. 109, Bo Sparks, wide receiver, Texas State. 110, Easton Messer, wide receiver from FAU. 111, Wyatt Young from OSU, wide receiver. And 112, Kawan Lacey, running back, Ole Miss. Chris, looking at this first round, what is your initial reaction?
It gets thin really fast. And this is like the first round.
Yeah.
I was like, man, I don't know that I would take him in the first round. And I said that for like 4 or 5 of the guys. And I was like, well, it's just it feels very uncertain this year. Like I don't love a lot of these players. Like maybe I loved the guys at the end of the draft last year. Like I have questions about what this Ole Miss offense is going to do. So I think Kewan Lacey, and I'm like, yeah, he's awesome. And like, he's going to get a huge workload, but like wasn't super efficient at times. And what does that look like moving forward? But like, you have to take him in the top 12 because the workload. And then I look at it like, so I purposely avoided almost all the content around this. I was instructed to do so, but I also wanted to give like the most genuine surprise reaction that I could. Amari Thomas at 4 was a jump scare. And then I thought about it a little bit more and I was like, well, it makes sense, right? Like he's the clear wide receiver 1.
Yeah.
Wegman played way better than anybody thought. And that offense has traditionally produced like high-end wide receiver play. Like I understand it, but I was a little surprised to see him in the top 5. Like that was not a name that I was really thinking would be there.
Okay.
But I mean, it makes sense. I just was it's like, wow, really? And then I had to think and be like, yeah, you had almost 1,000 yards last year, I think. And I mean, I think the offense is going to be better this year. And like, hopefully healthy Wegman. And if Wegman gets hurt, the true freshman they're bringing in, Keyshawn Henderson's awesome. So like, yeah, I think quarterback play is not going to be the issue.
Okay, right on. Is there the wide receivers that were picked after Amari Thomas, Bo Sparks, Easton Messer, and Wyatt Young? Are any of those 3 you'd potentially have above Amari Thomas, or you think Amari Thomas is maybe not valued to be at a top 5 pick, but is he more valuable than the 3 wide receivers picked after him?
I think they're all probably about where they should be, I would guess. I mean, I think it's the top 2. So we had Toney go 1, Smith 2, and I think there's like a clear tier break.
Yep.
And probably like 5 or 6 receivers here. And I think Thomas is one of them, Sparks, Messer, Wyatt Young, like those are all like high-end wide receivers who every one of those guys is a proven commodity, right? We're not wish casting or forecasting a big jump from them, right? Like Sparks was great. Dawn was also really good. Messer, if he didn't lead the country in targets, he was like 2nd. I guess like he had 1 million targets. Wasn't super efficient with them, but like I think there's gonna be some regression there. So like I could understand him going top 10 easily. And then Wyatt Young was awesome last year, right? Like we've already seen him do it. Yes, it's a step up in competition, but I don't know that what North Texas did in 2024 cannot be repeated at Oklahoma State. And maybe not to the same efficiency level. Like Hawkins isn't going to be nuclear every single week.
Yeah.
But I do think it's going to be a fine offense. Like, I don't think it's that big of a jump. Like the AAC is a pretty good conference.
Yeah, yeah. And the wide receiver episode, the transfer portal wide receiver episode, Jared and I broke down a lot of these wide receivers that transferred, and Wyatt Young did come up, and it was the contrast of his first half of the season and second half of the season, and seeing where a lot of his production came from in that second half, it just blew my mind on how productive he was in that back half. And I'm not too sure it's going to be able to be repeated, but if he's used like he was in the back half, like he throughout the whole season at Oklahoma State, and also with the game script being more in his favor than it was at North Texas, I mean, yeah, I think he can definitely put up the same numbers he put up last year. Of course, Drew Mestemaker was drafted in this draft as well. Between Caleb Hawkins, Wyatt Young, and Drew Mestemaker, which one of the three do you think doesn't produce to the level they were producing last season?
So I think it's a really interesting question because, like, the answer is obviously Caleb Hawkins.
Yeah,
And
sure.
if we got like 70% of Caleb Hawkins, he's still like a top 5 pick.
Pretty
right?
happy
Like,
with it.
he was that good.
Yeah.
Where there's a ton of room for him to regress and still be really, really good. I just think it's impossible for him to maintain that. Like, he's breaking off like 80 yard touchdowns like every week. I find it hard to believe he can replicate that. Like, he's a really good player,
Mhm.
but like, I don't know he's that good. I think Mestemaker will probably, if he doesn't have a similar season, he might have a better season. And I think part of that is the efficiency of Hawkins and Mestemaker probably meet in the middle in some capacity, because like he wasn't throwing a lot of touchdowns, and I think the opportunity will be there to convert a lot more of those in 2026 versus where he was in 2025. And he wasn't bad by any means, but like there was a lot of meat left on the bone. So I think that they could converge and both be still productive.
Yep. It's gonna be interesting to see how it plays out at Oklahoma State. Before we move into the second round, is there any player here in between all these 12 players that you think maybe shouldn't have been picked in the first round?
So I understand the logic, and I understand the upside, and I understand why this player was chosen here, but I don't think I could take Cameron Dickey in the top 12.
Yeah.
And that's just a very crowded backfield at Texas Tech. And it's a quarterback who will siphon some of the rushing opportunities.
Absolutely.
Like, Sorsby's a runner.
Yep.
And he's utilized around the goal line, right? So that, I mean, it worries me that the touchdown equity isn't going to be there, and how like productive the other backs are on that roster. Like, it's a very crowded room. All the backs stayed, and all the backs are good. Now the upside is he gets like 170 plus carries, maybe more, and it's just super efficient. Like, kind of, it was the story last year with him. But I just, taking him as a top 3 RB just feels too aggressive for my taste.
Yep. Yeah, I'm with you with that. That was pretty much the only pick for me as well inside of this top 12 that I would consider dropping quite a bit. I mean, I don't have him ranked that high overall on my early running back rankings, but because of the crowded backfield and because who they brought in as quarterback with Brendan Sorsby. But all right, that's round 1. Let's head over to round 2. 201, Brad Jackson, QB from Texas State, the first quarterback drafted in this draft. 202, LJ Martin, running back. 203, Darius Taylor. 204, running back Justice Haynes. 205, Deshaun Bishop, running back. 206, Jalen Buckley, running back. 207, Lucky Sutton, another running back heavy heading into the second round. At 208, Isaiah Satania, wide receiver, Oklahoma. 209, it's Isaac Brown, running back from Louisville. 210, Jaden Baugh, running back from Florida. 211, Cam Cook, running back from West Virginia. And 212, Parker Kingston, of course, wouldn't have gone drafted in this draft with the allegations and everything he's got going on with his stuff. So we'll just skip the Parker Kingston pick and talk about the other 11. Initial reaction for round 2, Chris?
A lot of running backs.
Yeah.
And you need to really get the bell cows in the first 2 rounds. Like, I think this has been the case for a couple of years now in college fantasy, where like I think you absolutely need to leave the top 2 rounds with at least 1.
Yep.
2, I mean, I think it's smart, but last year was such a weird year with injuries and like players just like not producing that I'm not like throwing it away, but like I felt like last year's draft was very anomalous. I think this year we're going to have a lot of running backs who are going to be highly productive bell cows. Like I look at LG Martin, I look at Darius Taylor. Like those are players who can get 25 touches a game
Sure.
as long as they're healthy. And for those two, like it's a big question on health. I find the Justice Haynes pick really interesting. Um, the utilization of running backs at Georgia Tech has been odd. Not odd. They just don't really feed a guy, right? It's not really a bell cow situation. It's, a efficient Haynes gets, 12 to 15 carries. It's a offense that has not relied on one guy to shoulder the load. And Malcolm Hosley's still there. And so I think, what does that look like moving forward? They paid him $2 million. So obviously they're going to use him.
Yeah.
That's kind of the answer. That's the answer to the question, I think. But we do not have proof of concept for this offense to rely on a bell cow in the last few years. And so that is in the back of my mind, but $2 million is also in the back of my mind. I wish it was not in the back of my mind, but yeah, it's an interesting situation for sure. But yeah, a lot of running backs for and I have a feeling we're going to see some more come off the board.
Yeah. I think when I broke it down, it was 62% of the first 2 rounds went to the running back position.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah, the first round was about 50-50 split between running backs and wide receivers, and then this second round just loaded with running back producers. Cam Cook moving up from I'm drawing a blank now. Jacksonville State to West Virginia.
That's a really interesting one because he's already failed at the Big 12 level once.
Yep.
And I'm not saying I thought Cam Cook was a really good, I was all over Cam Cook 2 years ago.
Yep.
And he dropped down and I didn't have any of them anymore. I'm not saying he can't succeed at West Virginia. And if there's one offense that's going to feed a running back and do really, really well, obviously it's this West Virginia Red Trout offense. That's who you want to be targeting. I don't know what happened at TCU, so I'm willing to give him a pass there because of how awesome he was last year. But it's again with I've already seen him not succeed at this level once. I don't know that it's going to happen again, but it's just something that I think about. But he has to go in the top. Based off his season last year, he has to go in the top 24 picks.
Yeah, the production was
taking that risk on.
Yeah.
And I thought they brought in a lot of running backs, maybe true freshmen. So maybe depth behind him.
Yeah, so the potential's there for him to kind of put up what he did last year. I don't think he'll have the same season that he did at Jacksonville State at West Virginia. Opportunities there for him, absolutely. Yeah. And then Brad Jackson being the first QB taken in this draft and the only QB taken within the first 2 rounds. Are you good with Brad Jackson being the QB1?
Yeah, I'm not sure who else I would have there. I think he's kind of I feel like he's a pretty safe choice.
Yeah.
I don't know that you need to take him this high. It feels a little aggressive from where not another quarterback went.
Yeah.
The rest of the round. So you probably could have waited. And I don't think there's a big gap between Arch Manning, Brad Jackson, or whoever you think QB2 is, QB3 is. I think the tier is bigger than 1. And so I don't know that Jackson needs to be going that high, even if I would take him as the first quarterback. I think I would.
Yeah, I wonder if the roster constraints or the roster construction kind of played a little bit into the thought process of drafting. Hey, I need 2 quarterbacks, I need 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers. I'm gonna go get my QB1 instantly and not have to worry about it. I can push that position to the back of the draft and walk out sitting pretty with Brad Jackson as my QB1. If I had to try to jump into the mind of the drafter in this situation. Is there a player that was picked that maybe changed the outlook of this round?
I don't know what to make of Isaiah Sategna. I have no idea what to make of him. He's a player. That whole offense really is an offense that I have a really tough time figuring out what it's going to look like in 2026. I think it'll be better, But like I was super unimpressed by John Mateer last year. Like I thought his first 3 games were really good, and then he was terrible the rest of the season. Like was it injury? Yeah, but like that's also the type of player he is. Like he's very, very high variance. He will lose you more games probably. It looked like they didn't want him to throw, so like I struggle with that offense quite a bit and figuring out like how high I need to have some of these players. Like if Satania is a top, what is that, 20 pick?
Yep.
That's probably a no for me, dog. But I just struggle with that offense.
Yeah. Well, if there's one thing Jared did teach me, and it wasn't how to properly use OBS, but it was you want the slot wide receiver in this Oklahoma offense, and Satania is just that, right? So if anything, he's going to be a hyper targeted wide receiver, but there's other wide receivers that you could that could potentially give you better production. Any egregious pick in the second round, top 24?
I don't think so. I mean, I struggle a little bit. I don't know. I just don't think Jaden Ball is very good, but it doesn't really matter because he produces anyway. So like, what do I care if he's not good?
Yeah.
But yeah, I obviously the Parker Kingston pick would not happen.
What we know now.
with him facing charges.
Yeah.
But I do think that there is like that's an interesting jumping off point to there's probably going to be a productive BYU wide receiver this year. So we just need to figure out who that is. Now, because I felt like it was probably going to be Kingston.
Yep.
And I don't think it's going to be Kingston.
No.
I don't think that he is draftable at all. Like period. Like let alone the charges. But like I don't think he plays at BYU. Like they kicked off Fresh Lap too. Like he's not going to play probably college football again this year.
Yep.
Possibly ever again. So like this is not a player that you can draft and take a flyer on thinking like things are going to change because like he's already broken the honor code and all that. Like just BSA, like regardless of how the charges play out.
Yeah, I think they've already come out and said he's not going to be part of the team. They've taken him off the team page and everything. So I think he's done at BYU and most likely playing football altogether. So that's the second round, chock full of running backs, one quarterback, and a couple wide receivers. Let's head into round 3. 301, Will Henderson, running back. 302, Bo Jackson, running back for Ohio State. 303, Pofeli Ashlock, wide receiver at Hawaii. 304, DeCorian Moore, wide receiver at Oregon. 305, Waymon Jordan, running back, South California, USC. 306, KJ Duff, wide receiver at Rutgers. 307, Tanook Hines, wide receiver, USC. 308, Austin Dendy, running back, Bowling Green. 309, Deuce Robinson, wide receiver at Florida State. 310, the return of Mekhi Hughes, hopefully for fantasy managers, running back at the University of Houston. 311, Chris Don Jr., wide receiver at Texas State. And 312, Nate Shepard, running back. Duke, like the other 2 rounds, Chris, after seeing round 3, it is a little bit more wide receiver than it is running back heavy, but it still looks like it's 50-50. What is your initial reaction to this round?
I'm surprised we did not have another quarterback go this round.
Okay.
To be a little bit honest, I thought we would get at least one.
Yep.
I don't know that I totally disagree. I think quarterback is pretty interesting this year. So, and there's like a lot of options probably at the top, but I am a little surprised. For this being the 3rd round, I do feel like there's a lot of risk here.
Okay.
What is Bo Jackson's full-time role in 2026? Like his utilization as a true freshman was really impressive, but like how much more upside is there considering like how they utilize running backs anyway?
Yeah.
They've split quite a bit the last couple of years.
Yep.
Pofeli Ashlock's really interesting because I keep chasing him and like I'm probably gonna end up taking him in the 3rd round too. But like I just don't know.
It's a target monster, but man.
But he's so inefficient. It's crazy. I mean, it's just like you wake up on Sunday morning and he has 21 targets. You're like, oh man, I bet he got like 30 fantasy points. He got like 11.
11.
He went, like, 5 versus
Yeah.
So he's a really frustrating player. Waymon Jordan. There's just like, this is a really interesting round. A lot of interesting players.
Mhm.
Waymon Jordan and Tanu Kynes go. I think those are the right guys at each position on the team. I don't know, for me, that I would be drafting Tanu Kynes in the third round though. Like, I'm just not really sold that he's like that level of player to begin with. And it's obvious he's obviously stepping into a role that is huge vacuum created with the two receivers moving on in Lemon and Lane. But I am a little skeptical of how much there really is in terms of upside for him. And if he's my wide receiver 1, I don't feel great about it. I actually like Deuce Robinson where he went. Like, I like Deuce Robinson. I liked him last year. Like, I feel like this is a good value for him. Like, I probably would have taken him before the other wide receivers in this round. Maybe not KJ Duff, but probably the other wide receivers. Like, I like the player. And then I think everybody else kind of slots in correctly. I do like the Austin Dendy pick though. That's a sneaky name and a way to get value. I thought he might be going a little bit later in drafts, but I think third round is totally fine for him. Like, I was pretty impressed with what he did at Bowling Green last year.
Yeah.
At the end of the year.
Yeah, not going to get too many productive running backs past Justin Leo volume picks. That's a VP pick right there. So
of course.
Yeah.
He I think he went, is this 3 straight running backs for him? I don't remember all the picks in a row. That would be on brand, right?
Yeah, I think he went running back, wide receiver, running back, if I had to.
So at least 2 of 3. That makes sense. Yeah, I like Dendy. That's a sharp pick. For sure. And I think Mekhi Hughes is going to be fine this year, but it is a little concerning what we saw at Oregon.
Oh,
I don't know
what we didn't see.
I just don't know what happened.
The lack of what we saw.
Yeah, we didn't see. That's a good point. Yeah, I don't know what happened at Oregon. I mean, he's going back, tail between his legs, saying, "Hey, I messed up, Coach Fritz. Take me back."
Yeah, pretty much.
Like, and he was great previously in the same system. So I don't think they have another guy nearly as talented as him.
Nope.
So
the potential's there.
I like it.
Yeah, I like the player. I like what he can do, and the potential's there for him at Houston. But it's just going to be, how hurt are you from the year before? How much of a bad taste in your mouth has he left you from that year at Oregon, where you're going to say, yeah, I'm going to spend, a top 3 or a top 3 pick for it personally on a player that is the question mark is so big. That there's other guys, like I'd probably take, I'd take Nate Shepherd over Mekhi Hughes at this point, because I kind of know what I'm going to get out of Nate Shepherd at Duke than what I'm going to get out of Mekhi Hughes. If Mekhi Hughes turns into another burnt pick, I mean, that could be make or break for you as a fantasy manager.
I think, I don't know who drafted him, but I would assume, based on the draft, that he's not the drafter's RB1.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
I think you can take the risk if he's your RB2 or 3.
Yeah, okay.
If I've taken as my RB1, like, I feel really not good about that either. Like, there's, like you were saying, right? There's a lot of risk in that profile. It's hard for me to, once I've seen somebody fail at a specific level, it's really hard for me to want to buy back in. And, like, I think for a lot of reasons, or a lot of players, there's reasons, and, like, maybe they're external reasons, maybe they're internal reasons that they just don't work out at a program or whatever. Fine. But it does leave a sour taste in my mouth. And, like, that's kind of in the back of my head with Cam Cook at TCU. It's kind of in the back of my head with Mekhi Hughes and, like, not working out at Oregon. It's hard for me to trust these players again. And they're both of them are good players, I think, but I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah. It's just too much. It's too much to take on. Like, if I was, like you said, running back 2, running back 3, okay, I got no problem taking him there as long as he's not the guy I'm leaning on heavily to get me into the fantasy playoffs or to win me a fantasy championship. And he might be able to do that as your running back 2 or 3, depending on the usage. It's just how much do you want to roll the dice? And for me right now, I'm just not looking forward It's rolling the dice all too much on Mackay Hughes. Before we move on to round 4, is there any player in this grouping that you could see potentially finishing at the top 3 for their position?
I think Henderson and Dendy have the strongest cases.
Yeah.
Because offenses that are historically productive for running backs, well, it's a new offense at Bowling Green, but Dendy was really good last year.
Yeah, he was.
I think Henderson has the UTSA system that has just like churned out productive rushing attacks year over year over year with Jeff Traylor. I think both of those would be like, I think Mackay Hughes has it in his range of outcomes too. Like, I think the floor is much higher for those previous 2 backs,
Yeah.
but I think the ceiling is very similar. Like, I liked what I saw from Henderson a lot too.
Yep. I'm high on Will Henderson going into the year as well. All right, that's round 3. Let's head into round 4 of the 2026 way too early mock draft here on Chasing the Natty. With me breaking this down is Chris Moxley from the Campus to Canton podcast network. You do a lot of writing as well, Chris. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, right now I am working on our upcoming 2026 freshman supplemental guide.
Yep.
That is getting released in the next few weeks. That's kind of one of our premier like flagship products that we've done for the last couple of years. It's like one of my favorite things to do. Like, I don't do any of the recruiting work, but the recruiting team does.
Yep.
And I help kind of put together the guide, and it's really a labor of love for those guys. They do really, really good work, and I think it's one of the more unique products that we have. So I'm really excited about that coming up. So that's kind of been a lot of my focus, and awesome. I know the recruiting team's working hard to get those profiles written.
Yeah, and you can pre-order that, so make sure you jump in, pre-order that. And I believe if you use Natty, promo code Natty, Natty, when you subscribe to Campus to Canton, any tier, you'll be able to jump in and pre-order that a lot easier, that supplemental guide from Campus to Canton. Round 4, we see a couple more quarterbacks come off the board. 401, Arch Manning, QB Texas. 402, Jakarian Turner, running back at Pitt. 403, Jamari McClure, running back Tulane. 404, Jaden Thomas, running back UNLV. 405, Devon Dampier, quarterback at Utah. 406, Omarion Miller, wide receiver at Arizona State. 407, Wayne Knight, running back UCLA. 408, college football playoff star running back Mark Fletcher from the University of Miami. 409, Dylan Riley, running back Boise State. 410, Carson Hansen, running back at Penn State. 411, Charlie Becker, wide receiver at the University of Indiana. And 412, Jordan Dwyer, wide receiver from TCU. Chris, we've seen 2 quarterbacks get taken after as quarterback 2 and quarterback 3 after Brad Jackson, who was drafted in the 2nd round. Arch Manning at QB2 and Devon Dampier at QB3. Are these interchangeable, or is this pretty much where you have them, at least at this point of the season?
So I like Arch. I think he got a pretty bad rep on like his first few games, and I thought he was so much better, both like playing wise, like just playing the position of quarterback, and also producing for fantasy. Like he definitely, I think, has a little bit of early season stink on him that I don't know is 100% fair. He's my quarterback 1-2 with Brad Jackson. The question that I have about Dampier is like, what exactly is Utah's plan this year? Like, I know what he is, and like I know what he can do in an offense. I don't know. His efficiency dropped a ton last year, obviously moving up to a much better conference. Like, that's gonna happen. But I don't know. I just don't like watching him play football. Like, he scares me because I think the floor is so low if things don't break right. Not that I think they're going to. I did, like, obviously he's a top 5 quarterback. I don't really like drafting him all that much, to be totally honest. I think he's fine where he goes, but like I'm not sure I'm gonna have a lot of him if he's going round 4, like early round 4. And the quarterback's kind of interesting. I'm surprised no more went, but I know they're coming, so it'll be interesting. A lot more running backs this round again, right?
Yeah.
Like if you didn't take a running back in the top 2 rounds, like you're scrambling at this point. Like, do I really want to be drafting Jamari McClure? Personally, no, but I don't think he's a bad player. Like Jaden Thomas, pretty efficient, like good player. Wayne Knight, not only is he leveling up, but he's also changing schools. Like that's like I think he's a good player, but how good is he? I don't know. I think Carson Hansen might struggle a little bit going from Iowa State to Penn State. Like that's also a big jump.
Yep.
There's just like a lot of questions about a lot of these players, and it's so early in the offseason, right? Maybe we don't have formed opinions, and I'm just like taking this in for the first time, thinking about where I would take these guys, and maybe in my head I'm like, wow, that feels really high, and then I see the next round, and it's like, okay, well, that's worse than the previous round, so maybe I'm wrong. But some of these players, I'm just like, it's a little scary to like take them. Like, I think Amarian Miller is a good player. Is Amarian Miller like a 406 level player? I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what the quarterback situation really is like at Arizona State. Like how good. I actually like the kids that they already had in the program as a backup. But you know they bring Cutter Boley. I don't know how that's gonna go. Like it feels kind of high for him. But like I like a Jordan Dwyer, and I'm like, we saw Jordan Dwyer be pretty good.
Yep.
At TCU. And like yes, there's again question about the quarterback there, but like I don't know that they're massive questions. Like I think this offense is kind of going to run itself a little bit. And he's clearly the wide receiver 1 here. So like I kind of like the Dwyer pick. And I don't know if that's super popular or not. Like I'm not sure what the sentiment is on him currently, but I think I like that pick.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people are high on Dwyer heading into the season. We've seen what the TCU wide receiver 1 has been able to produce for college fantasy, and it's been pretty good. I got a question about the University of Indiana wide receivers with Nick Marsh coming in from Michigan State and the year that Charlie Becker had, at least in the back half of the season. Which two, and Marsh hasn't been picked yet, which out of the two, Charlie Becker and Nate Marsh, which one would you be more comfortable rostering this season?
I was really surprised that Marsh did not go first, and that's who I probably would draft first.
I'm in the same boat.
I have seen Marsh be really good with like trash situations.
Yep.
Like he's just way like I don't think Charlie Becker is a bad player. So like don't hear what I'm not saying, I guess. I just think like Nick Marsh is just like alpha. Like I would not be surprised if these ADPs are not only flipped, but Marsh went like round 3 or like maybe back half of like round 2.
Yep.
The further we get into the offseason. Like that's a player that I am very surprised has not been taken. I really like Nick Marsh.
Yep.
And I have no reason not to like what Indiana's rolling out again in 2026. Like I think it's going to be a really productive situation. So I'm a Marsh fan, but I did like what I saw from Becker this year. Like that's not a slight against him. I just think Marsh is like kind of a different type of alpha dude.
Yeah, I mean, Josh Hoover going to be quarterback at Indiana this year is very capable, going to be able to get the ball in both of these guys' hands. But a lot of what, at least the background story of Charlie Becker's production was, he was roommates with Fernando Mendoza, and that's what kind of helped him, especially in that back half of the season and going into the college football playoffs. I don't know if that's going to be the case with Josh Hoover, but with Omar Cooper, Elijah Surratt gone, there's going to be space for both to produce. But I'm with you. I got Marsh being the wide receiver 1 in this Indiana wide receiver room as well. And then you touched on Carson Hansen there. That was actually my pick. He was my running back 3, I believe, going into this. And I broke down what he did at Iowa State, and it was a little concerning. Jared was a little bit more optimistic on him because of where he was producing and how much of it was on the back half of the season, and how much Jared likes to see that back end of the season progression for the running backs. But for me, if he didn't get any bit of the workload, he just didn't produce. He wasn't very efficient until he saw at least 16 or more carries, and without that, he wasn't able to produce at all. And I just don't know if he's going to get that kind of workload at Penn State. Granted, James Peoples transferred in from Ohio State. He hasn't done too much at his time at Ohio State. And Quentin Martin, the Penn State running back who stayed, also hasn't done much in the past 2 seasons, but still very capable running backs in the system who I believe will share some of the workload in that Penn State running back room. You agree?
Yeah, I'm not his biggest supporter for a lot of the reasons you mentioned, and also I just he wasn't that efficient, like you said.
Yeah, he's very touchdown
now
dependent
competition
as
is
well.
way harder now.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're not running against the crappiest defenses in the Power 4 anymore. So let's see how it works out. He's probably a player that I'm not going to draft much of, and I didn't draft much of him last year either. I don't really like the way that Matt Campbell utilizes their running backs. And there's a lot of splitting that goes on there, and I think Hanson's the better player, but again, he wasn't that good. He was really efficient the previous year, so the answer is probably somewhere in the middle. I don't think he's a special talent.
Yeah.
Not that I think Peoples or Quentin Martin are either. Quentin Martin can't get on the field. Who cares what we thought about him as a recruit at this point? He just can't get on the field. And I like Peoples as a recruit as well, but I mean, these guys aren't carving out opportunities either. So it'll be it's a pretty interesting situation.
Yeah, and then just wanted to touch on Mark Fletcher. Do you think a lot of his projections, at least this early in the season, is what have you done for me lately, and the production that he was able to put on tape for the college football playoff and the back half of the season? Because he wasn't that productive, at least for the first start, and we've seen Miami kind of rotate their running backs, and then Mark Fletcher kind of took over that role heading into the back half. Is Mark Fletcher a player you could see end up as a back-end running back 3, or do you think Mark Fletcher takes the workload for Miami and ends up being a back-end running back 1, top-end running back 2?
So I like Mark Fletcher. He's probably, of the running backs drafted in this round, he's probably one of my favorites.
Okay.
I think the injury really shifted Pringle more into the focus than I think Miami really wanted to give him touches.
Yep.
I don't think that was a Mark Fletcher can't be our bell cow. I think it was injury, because the second that he got healthy, we saw him run all over Texas A&M.
Yep.
To me, that's more the player. I don't think that he's a special player either, but you have to think he's a year plus removed from this ACL injury. He looked better in the back half of the season. I think that injury recovery from 2 years ago now, really kind of completed itself at the end of the year. And that's when I thought he looked the best, when he also got healthy. I don't remember what his other injury was. Something lower body. I like Fletcher personally. I think that he could be a big part of the Miami offense. I think this is a really fine spot for him too. I think the floor is pretty high for him. So you might not get a top 5 back, but I think you're looking at a pretty safe flex option at worst.
Okay. So yeah, you'll take that. You'll take that in the 4th round, drafting a running back like that, considering that through 4 rounds it's been pretty running back heavy. You'll take that. You'll take that production.
I like the pick there. I think that's good value.
All right, let's move to round 5. And at 501, Nick Marsh. Look at that. Yeah. 502, Sam Leavitt, LSU quarterback. 503, Chase Hendricks, wide receiver at Cal. 504, Bryant Wesco, wide receiver at Clemson. We're starting to see a little bit more of the quarterbacks roll in. 505, Connor Wigman, quarterback at Houston. 506, Drew Mestamaker, quarterback, Oklahoma State. 507, our first tight end comes off the board. Jamari Johnson, tight end at Oregon. 508, Mario Craver, wide receiver, Texas A&M. 509, Brendan Sorsby, quarterback, Texas Tech. 510, Braylon Staley, wide receiver, Tennessee. 511, Kendrick Raphael, running back, SMU. And 512, our second tight end taken off the board, Terrence Carter, tight end, Texas Tech. Between the two tight ends picked, Chris, Jamari Johnson and Terrence Carter, which one would you be more in favor of rostering?
I can't get there with Johnson as tight end one. I understand. I don't think for me personally, I don't think either of these guys are tight end one, and I think we'll see the guy that I think is tight end one soon. But I don't. That's like a pretty insane projection, I think, for Johnson. And I don't know that Johnson's a bad player. Like, I actually think he's a pretty decent athlete, and like I think he's a good potentially like NFL guy. But the offense wasn't really like that favorable to passing in general this year. Like, Corey Moore was a true freshman. He was by far their best receiver. Evan Stewart's going to come back next year. Like, it's going to be a little bit more crowded.
Yep.
You're going to have a lot more development for the wide receivers, I think. Like, they're pretty terrible this year. I don't really know what Johnson's full opportunity and role is going to be in this offense. So it's hard for me to project, especially when, like, he wasn't the guy this year. And so, like, I don't know that it's an offense that is, like, always pushing out good tight ends. Like, I think they've had good tight ends, and it's like it's worked. But, like, I don't know that it's an offense that, like, is built around the tight end. Like, I don't know that part is true. So I think there's a lot of forecasting Johnson's productivity where I have more questions, I think, than answers.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I think he's a top 5 tight end just based on the history.
Yep.
I just don't think I can get there for tight end one. That's kind of where I landed.
Yeah. And Sadiq, their top target for Oregon last year, I think he walked out with 53 targets. Kind of soaked up a lot of that slot wide receiver role for them, and then bringing in Iverson Hooks, like you said, Evan Stewart coming back, DeCorian Moore's still in the fold. It's going to be a lot less opportunity, I think, for the tight end position to be running out of the slot, or at least being targeted out of the slot like we've seen last year. And then this round, we only seen one running back taken in, Kendrick Raphael. The rest of it is quarterbacks, tight ends, and wide receivers. Of the 4 quarterbacks taken in this round, Sam Leavitt, Connor Wigman, Drew Mestemaker, and Brendan Sorsby, which one do you think doesn't belong being taken this early?
I kind of think they're all, like, appropriately ranked. I don't know. I thought Connor Wegman was way better than I thought he was going to be last year. So, like, I have some bias in my head probably.
Yeah, that's fair.
On him. And, like, I think the true freshman that they're bringing in is, like, just a better player than he is. So, like, if Wegman struggles, is there
a little bit? Yeah.
Will they pull the cord? I don't think so. But, like, he's a 5-star recruit and, like, the highest recruit, I think, in Houston's history. And, like, that is a tenuous situation for Wegman, I think, a little bit. But I think they're all probably appropriately ranked. I don't know how good Sam Leavitt is. He was really bad last year, and I think there was an injury there, but, like, he also has Lane Kiffin, who can turn Ferris State D2 quarterback into, like, one of the most productive quarterbacks in the country. So, like, I think he can do that with Leavitt, who was actually good 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Sorsby's interesting at Texas Tech too. Like, that Baron Morton held back that offense. I think Sorsby can, like, elevate it. Like, I'm not even the biggest Sorsby fan. Like, I think he's fine, but he's definitely going to elevate that offense.
Yeah, just breaking down, breaking down Sorsby's profile when we were breaking down the transfer portal quarterbacks and seeing how much he progressed in pushing the ball downfield, tied to what he does out of the backfield with his legs and scoring touchdowns, running the ball. I think he'll do just fine there at Texas Tech. And then Sam Leavitt, for me, is the one out of the 4 that I think I would put at the bottom of the list if I was ranking these guys, just because how much he relied on the wide receivers that move the ball after the catch. He didn't do much once Jordan Tyson went down, or those games without Jordan Tyson. I mean, he does have Jace Brown. LSU brought in a ton of wide receivers in from the portal this year, so it's going to be interesting to see the kind of offense that they're going to run. But if I was to rank the four, I'd probably go Sorsby, Wiegman, Mestamaker, and then leave it for me.
Yeah, I think from a floor perspective, I probably agree.
Yeah, and then
I thought he was bad. I just thought he was bad last year.
Yeah.
Like, I just didn't think he was good.
yeah,
Like that, I don't. And the CFF team at Cam's Camp makes fun of me for this all the time. That like we don't care if they're good or not. Like if they produce. I hate drafting players that I don't think are good because I think the floor could fall out on them very easily. Like that scares me.
Sure.
Like, Eli Holstein last year was such a fade because he stinks.
Yep.
And like he lost the job. So like I worry about those sorts of situations. Now I don't think that's gonna happen to Levitt. I think he's a better player than that, but like it was a bad season.
Yeah, and with all the drama and everything with Lane Kiffin going to LSU, I'm sure if Leavitt struggles out the gate, because they got Longstreet there from USC, right? That transferred over.
Yeah,
So
they do.
I mean, he's going to be nipping at his heels as well. I'm sure if there's any struggle halfway through the season, once the fans and the Louisiana media gets rolling, I'm sure there's going to be a cry for change at the quarterback, and taking Leavitt as potentially your QB1 in this situation could be very detrimental to your fantasy success heading into the year. Kendrick Raphael was the only running back taken in this round, as we mentioned, going to SMU. Any take on Kendrick Raphael at SMU?
I wish I had a strong feeling on him, and I just don't. I have a really tough time with that SMU backfield.
Yeah.
Every year, I feel like. I think he's a fine player. Like I think the hype for him got a little bit crazy at the end of the season. Like I didn't think he was quite that level of player, but he's good. Like I think it's a fine fit. Like he didn't go too high, and like think. Trying to say this nicely. He picked the appropriate landing spot for his skill level.
Okay, no, that's fair. That's a fair take. Any player in this round that you consider a possible reach?
I actually think this is a pretty good round in terms of like value going
Potential
where
value.
I expected it to.
Yeah.
I don't know what to expect out of Chase Hendricks at Cal, but like the role that he's going to be playing in the Cal offense is a very productive role.
Yep.
So like I like it for that reason alone. I think the level might be a lot for him, but I think that he might just get like double-digit targets every game, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
I think this is a pretty good round.
Yeah. Yeah, the potential for Chase Hendricks is there. If you look at what he was able to put up last season, his first 3 games, I think, was against Ohio State, Rutgers, and there's another team in there. It might have been Arizona State. I could be wrong with that third team, but he put up, I believe, over just under 300 yards. He had a good game against Ohio State. He played well against Rutgers. I think he caught 2 TDs. So the potential's there for him. Jacob DeJesus is gone, correct? Or is that still pretty muddy?
I thought he was gone.
Yeah, I think he's gone, but I think he was trying to do the reinstatement as well. I don't think he was clear that he was gone, but I don't know if he was denied. He might have got denied recently. I'd have to look into that. But there's always.
I know he's one of those JUCO rulings.
Yeah.
But I thought that it was. Yeah, I had not seen news on it.
Okay. So what we'll play it by here that Jacob DeJesus is gone. So Chase Hendricks walking into that potential slot wide receiver role for Cal, where DeJesus saw, I think, 140-something targets last year.
Yes.
It could be massive. And then Nick Marsh, who we talked about in round 4, taking that 501, round 5, just after Charlie Becker, I think is great value as well. And that's the 5th round. Brian Wesco, the wide receiver, taken off at Clemson. Are you good with Brian Wesco being the first wide receiver taken off at Clemson, or are you TJ Moore guy?
I like TJ Moore, but I'm not really going to fight it one way or the other. I think both are really talented. I just think I slightly prefer Moore.
Yep. Okay, that's fair. I think that was a Froton pick, and he mentioned
He's a TJ Moore fan too. That's funny.
Yeah, I think he was sold on West Coast speed was his reasoning of picking West Coast ahead of TJ Moore.
Yeah.
But the
Yeah,
quarterback
he was
situation
really...
is going to is what's going to determine the success of both wide receivers at Clemson.
So I thought Vizina was terrible. Like as a baseline, I thought he was terrible. And then he came in and he played like pretty well, and I was like, oh, maybe I'm just like way off on his projection. So like I am willing to possibly admit that I was wrong, but I would like to see a little bit more than one game out of Vizina to make that like a thing. But he impressed me more than I thought he would.
Yep. I don't know. I'm not a Chris.
I thought he was all, like couldn't play football though, so like I had a pretty low expectation.
Yeah, so expectations still pretty low. I don't even think I got him ranked yet. I'm working on my early rankings. I don't even think I got Vizina ranked yet, which could be criminal by me, but I mean, I guess we'll see. It's not looking good for Clemson walking into the year. Okay, let's head into round 6. But before we do, if you're listening to this on the Campus to Canton Network, we got an ad for you, so let's drop it. All right, welcome back to Chasing the Natty. This is the way too early mock draft breakdown. I am Chris Battistel. With me is Chris Moxley, the ever so handsome fella, joining me. So you'll take that, right, Chris?
I'll take it. Yeah. You're just a day late. Yesterday was Valentine's Day.
Oh, there you go. That's right. It was. Better late than never, as we like to say.
Better late than never.
All right, round 6. 601, Sean Wilson, wide receiver. 602, Liam Zarka, quarterback. 603, Trey Richardson, wide receiver. 604, Nick Minicucci, quarterback. 605, wide receiver Cam Coleman. 606, running back Aeneas Williams. 607, quarterback Byron Brown. 608, wide receiver Anthony Evans. 609, running back Ruben Owens. 610, wide receiver Jace Brown. 611, Cal wide receiver Ian Strong. And 612, running back Wayshawn Parker. I haven't asked you this question for a couple rounds, Chris. Initial reaction for round 6.
Wow, I can't believe that these players are going in round 6. And I felt that way for like the last 3 rounds. It's just really surprising how quickly I start to feel shaky about some of these players this year. Like Sean Wilson was pretty good last year at Delaware, and like Minicucci was pretty good at Delaware, but like that was kind of a lightning in a bottle situation / team that I think that they could take a step back this year. Not 100%, but I think they might. Trey Richardson is like, that's a lot of projection for me at Louisville there. Like, I don't know that I would feel great about taking him here. I like Cam Coleman. Like, I think he's a great player. Like, I think he's going to be the wide receiver 1 there. I thought Texas receivers were terrible last year. It's like, I mean, he's actually good. And so I think he could get like a pretty big target share. I like that pick. I don't really know what to make of the Notre Dame situation, so like I'm not sure I have a strong take on Aeneas Williams. Some people like him a lot more than me, so like I probably won't get much of him.
He seems like he's gonna be going early, yeah.
I just don't know that I like love the player, and
that's fair.
We'll see. I don't know what his utilization is going to be. Like, he's certainly not Jeremiah Love. I'm not even sure he's like Jadarian Price, but we'll see.
Yeah, we will.
I think the Jace Brown pick is kind of interesting too. At LSU there, like I don't really know what to make of that whole receiver room quite yet, but I do think that I think he's a pretty good, at least college receiver. So like I think he's gonna be pretty decent there for the Tigers. I'll give you one pick that I'm not sold on.
Right.
And I have a feeling that these players are going to get drafted quite a bit in the next few rounds. So like this will probably lead to a larger discussion in general. I'm not really taking any of the Auburn offense this year.
Okay.
I think a lot of things have to go right for it to work. And I get the upside. Like Byron Brown has had 2 amazing years, like one where he was injured in the middle of the 2, but like still like 2 amazing years. I get it. I just think they could be in for a real rude awakening. I'm a little concerned about what exactly happens at Auburn this year.
And that's fair. I mean, it's quite a big jump up, for the coaching staff and the players. I know they brought in. I mean, I'm sure if he would have liked to have Cam Coleman on his team still, but that's not the case. And they're bringing in a lot of the wide receiver room from USF, so I'm expecting as well a lot of this offense to struggle a little bit. I mean, they're going to have their games where they go off here and there, but I think that's a fair fade with Byron Brown and the Auburn offense. Ian Strong, the other Cal wide receiver drafted, transferred in over from Rutgers. Do you think Ian Strong has 80% of the season that he had last season?
I think he's gonna be the primary outside guy. But again, like I think the player on this offense they want to target is the slot
wide receiver, yeah.
Like I think that's Chase Hendricks.
Yeah.
And I like John K. Platelli, but like I don't know. Close, I think. I prefer JKS.
But, a lot easier.
I'm not sure how big of a leap he's going to take in terms of just like raw volume.
Yeah.
And I think Cal's heading in a really strong direction. Like I like all the decisions the coaching staff has made. Like I think they're running that program in a really strong way. I don't know that they can support 2 wide receivers being drafted in the top 6 rounds. That's aggressive to me. I can get on board with 1, and I think the 1 should be Hendricks, but I'm not sure I want 2.
Both, yeah.
6 rounds.
Yep, that's fair.
I like the player a lot, though. I actually think Ian Strong is quite good. I don't know.
The role in the offense might hamper what his production is going to be. Quarterback wise, Liam Sarka, Nick Minicucci, Byron Brown. You touched on Minicucci a little bit. You touched on Byron Brown. Liam Sarka has the potential to finish as the overall quarterback 1. I think he averaged 25 fantasy points per game last year, and he wasn't the starter at the top end. With a full season under his belt, would you be okay taking Sarka as your QB1 or as the overall quarterback 1?
Yeah, I was surprised that he fell to where he did. Like I think he is closer to the previous tier probably than this tier. Like I don't think Zarka and Byron Brown are in the same tier, and going within like 5 picks of each other feels odd to me. Like I think Zarka is a much better, safer player. Like I think he's so much better than, I don't remember the other name of the quarterback that they had starting, but he was terrible when we saw him in 2024. Then he was terrible when we saw him in 2025, and I had Zarka on the bench the whole time, so I don't know what they were thinking. But I like Sarka. I don't think there's a lot of downside there. Like it's a option offense, like quarterback, like those are pretty valuable players in general. Like we've seen it year over year over year. Like, and we've already seen the proof with Sarka.
Yeah,
like, we know he's good.
Yeah. It's pretty interesting round. Moving forward, round 6, round 7, round 8, round 9, there's quite a bit of projection baked into some of these picks. Of course, you mentioned Trey Richardson being one of those. If he steps into that Chris Bell role, there's a lot of potential for him to produce fantasy points. But you're just not on board with Trey Richardson. You're just running high on him at Vanderbilt.
I have no make of the Vanderbilt offense down the stretch last year because he was not very productive in the first half of the season.
Yeah.
And then he was really productive at the end of the season. And like they played a pretty bad, like he had the big game against Kentucky, and that was like a pretty bad Kentucky team that had like functionally quit. He might just be a blind spot player for me, to be honest. Like gotcha. I don't know that I feel so strongly one way or the other about him. Mm-hmm. But when I hear Trey Richardson in the 6th round, I'm like, I don't know that I like that. But like, he was still pretty good with a quarterback who was not very good, or not a very good passer in Pavia. But again, Pavia did have like how many 300-yard back-to-back weeks. So like
Yeah.
I struggle a lot with this player's profile. And like I think he's gonna like I don't know what role he's gonna play. Like he's not big, right? Like Chris Bell had size. Like
Yeah.
Richardson's like
I think
like
he's
9, 5'10",
yeah, 5'10", yeah.
and like pretty skinny. So like I don't know what his role in the office is gonna be. So like it's kind of hard to project that because the productive wide receiver at Louisville the last few years has been like the outside boundary guy and
Yeah.
like bigger body archetype players. I don't know.
Yep, it's a toss up.
Tough player for me.
Yep, it's a toss up, definitely. That's round 6, another interesting round. We kind of see the running backs fall off a little bit in terms of being picked, but that has a lot to do with the roster construction and constrictions that we had. Again, you have to pick 2 quarterbacks, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, 1 tight end, and 1 flex. What were the rules? So pretty much you have to select your best starting roster heading into February. Round 7, Damon Williams, 701, quarterback at Washington, almost LSU. 702, Jordan Davison, running back at Oregon. 703, Alonzo Barnett, the 3rd quarterback at UCF. 704, returning quarterback Dante Moore at Oregon. 705, Tradez Green, tight end LSU. 706, Ben Brahmer, tight end at Penn State. 707, Shelton Sampson Jr., wide receiver, Louisiana Raging Cajuns. 708, Braden Pagan, wide receiver at Utah. 709, Fluff Bothwell, running back, Mississippi State. 710, Avery Johnson, quarterback, Kansas State. 711, Ryan Williams, wide receiver at Alabama. And then 712, his counterpart, another wide receiver from Alabama, Lotzier Brooks. Out of the 4 quarterbacks taken in this round, Chris, is there one that you could see just completely falls off the map in terms of fantasy production?
I think there's a world, and I don't think it's a likely one, but I do think there's a world where Damon Williams has like the season from hell based on the offseason.
Yeah,
like
that's fair.
How bought in is his team? Like, do they really want him back? Are they just like papering over it for a year and then like they're gonna part ways? Like, what is the vibe? Is it like? I think it could get kind of nasty. Like I think Damon Williams is really good, so like I don't think that's gonna happen just based on his skill. But like it could go off the rails. I think. Like I think that's a potential outcome. Alonzo Barnett is so interesting because he started the season like pretty hurt, like he wasn't running, and that he had a very quick turnaround from his ACL injuries. Like I was surprised he was even playing so early, and he was. So I think he could have a pretty productive season. I think it's a fine. Like I think where he goes is like that's probably accurate. Even with a slight jump in competition, like I don't think it's that crazy. I kind of like Avery Johnson this year.
Yeah,
I think like he could have a nice rebound season.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I think Dante Moore is fine. Like, I don't know. I don't see it with Dante Moore like some people do, but like, he's super safe. Like, you're probably going to get a quarterback 2 where you're drafting him. Like, I don't think he's can be a QB1, and if he is, it's like back half QB1. But like, I also don't think the floor is going to be like 0 or like non-existent. So all the quarterbacks here are like fine. I don't love any of them, but like we're at a position in the draft where like you're not going to love any of the quarterbacks anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Is your tight end 1 picked? Has he been picked yet?
Yeah, I like Tradez Green a lot.
Okay.
They only played in 8 games last season, but he was like really productive when he did play.
Yep.
And I just think that it's a room that is looking for an option. And like Kiffin got a lot of utilization out of the tight end last year, and I think like Tradez Green's potentially like a special type of athlete to where he gets featured quite a bit. Like I didn't realize how good Ole Miss tight end production was last year until I started actually looking into it.
Yep.
I'm not saying Tradez Green is like the 1-for-1 here, but I do like the player already. I think he's very talented, and I think this is an offense that is going to feature him. So like he's my tight end 1 early on. I just think he's good.
Yeah, no, that's fair. He's a great athlete. He's on an offense that should give him the ball quite a bit. We're going to see quite a bit of production. Should see a good amount of touchdowns as well. And then freshman running back Jordan Davison out of Oregon. Do you think he ends up being the bell cow running back for this Ducks offense, or do we kind of see same old situation with the Ducks and we get a committee approach from the running back position?
Even going back to Bucky Irving, and that's 2 years now, I never felt like he got a crazy amount of volume. Like he was just
Yeah,
really good with the work that he got. Um, like this is just isn't an offense that utilizes a bell cow. It's just like really efficient running backs for the most part, and like all of them are kind of efficient. I think Davidson's the best of them, and I think the room was cleared out a little bit.
yep,
So I don't hate the pick here. I don't love drafting the Oregon running back. It's just too committee for my taste.
that's fair.
Because I think at this point in the draft, you want to shoot for the upside play, and I don't know that that's Davison. Like he doesn't feel like there's a because he's like your RB 3 or 4, right? At this point,
At this
like
point, yeah.
I think that I want a guy with a little more upside than Davison. Like I don't know that his path to like 200 touches is that clear or clean,
Okay.
and like you'd want more than that.
Yep. And then speaking of chasing upside, with the Alabama wide receiver room, Isaiah Horton's transferred, Jeremy Bernard's moved up to the NFL. Does Ryan Williams bounce back, or does Lotsier Brooks take over the wide receiver 1 role for the Crimson Tide?
You know, I want to believe that Ryan Williams that we saw last year is not Ryan Williams, and like it's we just like flush the year, forget it. But he was brutal,
Yeah,
brutal.
rough.
Yeah, he was hurt a little bit for sure. Um, but like the drops were bad. He just looked disinterested at times. Like I I don't know how good he really is because he was outplayed last year. Like he was not the wide receiver 1 on his own team. Um, and when he was playing, like it wasn't always good. And I know he played through injury, but still, like it was pretty concerning. I felt.
Yep.
I don't know that I'm ready to put Brooks as the 1 over him, but I think I'm gonna head into the season with the idea in my head that we're pretty close to having these players flip if the trend continues. It's like I'm very willing to change my mind very quickly on it, but I don't know that I'm there quite yet. And I like Let's Hear Brooks too. He was a player in our freshman supplemental guide that we had a wide receiver 8. I think he was like wide receiver like 25 in the services. He's a player that we really liked and like
Yeah.
why I like do the freshman guide so much, right? Like he was going in drafts and um, really highly because like he was a player that we identified and said, hey, like we think this is a really, really talented wide receiver, ranked really low. And I mean, Alabama, I guess, felt the same way, right? Like he had a ton of work in really important games for them. So I really like the player. I don't know really what to make of Ryan Williams' season. It was really disconcerting.
And of course, the quarterback situation is going to come a lot into play as well for Alabama. You're either going to get, I think Austin Mack is the potential starter right now, and you have Keelan Russell there. Do you have a take on the quarterback situation for Alabama?
So Ty Simpson was so much better than I thought, and like I was even a Ty Simpson fan, so like he impressed me. Keelan Russell, I think, would have played more last year if I think his sister passed like during the off season, and like obviously like he I think maybe wasn't ready to like start last year, and like who could blame him, of course,
Sure.
you know. But I wonder if we would have seen more of him if like it was an off season where like things went well.
Yeah.
I think he's been a much better player than Austin Max. Like I really hope we get Keelan Russell. And if we don't, I think that says a lot about Keelan Russell. So I'm operating under the assumption that it's going to be him. And I think he's a much better passer than Austin Mack is. And I think he's not really like mobile, but like he can extend some plays. So he's probably like similar mobility wise to Austin or Ty Simpson-ish, maybe. I don't know, but the arm is there, and I think that'll elevate way more than Mac could. So I'm hoping it's Keelan Russell.
All right, that's fair. That's round 7 in the books. We're heading to round 8. 801, Cooper Barkate, wide receiver at the U. 802, Josh Hoover, quarterback, Indiana. 803, Caden Velkamp, quarterback, FAU. 804, this was one of the interesting picks. Iverson Hooks, wide receiver at Oregon. 805, J.J. Buchanan, tight end at Michigan. 806, John Mateer, quarterback at Oklahoma. 807, one of those USF transfers, wide receiver Keyshawn Singleton. 808, I mean, this starts a run of quarterbacks. Marcel Reed, quarterback, Texas A&M. 809, Jaden Maivia, quarterback at USC. 810, and this was my pick, not great, but Deuce Knight, quarterback, Ole Miss, with the Trinidad Chambliss situation. 811, Darian Mensah, quarterback at the U. And 812, Kamario Taylor, quarterback, Mississippi State. Of course, a lot of the drafters were most likely RB maxed at this point in the draft, so we're not going to see a lot of running backs being picked from here on out, but we are going to see a lot of wide receivers, tight ends, and quarterbacks. Of this group of 8 quarterbacks picked in this round, Chris, which is your favorite and why?
It's got to be Kamario Taylor.
Yeah.
I think the upside there is like super, super high.
Nice.
And I bet it was Nate who took him, because Nate's like the biggest Kamario Taylor fan ever. But the rushing is crazy. Like, I know he's not super developed as a passer. I get it, but like, I think he can do enough. And like, he's got like 100-yard a week rushing potential. Like, he's super special on the ground. And I think if you're taking him here, maybe he's a quarterback 1, maybe he's a quarterback 2. Like, I think he's the perfect guy to shoot for like high upside. And you can find floor players elsewhere.
Yep.
In leagues, like especially on the waiver wire, like if you just need to plug in a quarterback for like 20 points or like 22, 23 points, you can find that on the waiver wire. You're not finding like 30 plus point upside on the waiver wire, and that's what I think Kamario Taylor represents. So I like that pick. I think it's a very high, like he has quarterback 1 like on the year potential.
Oh, okay.
And like I don't think any of the other players in this area do.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. It was Nate that picked Mario Taylor. You nailed that one. You know your draft room pretty well. And then for me, if you were going to pick between the 2 real question marks, I think Cooper Barkate's situation at Miami is kind of locked in as wide receiver 2 behind Malachi Toney. But the 2 guys transferring up in competition quite a bit, not saying that Cooper Barkate isn't, but Iverson Hooks going from El Paso to Oregon, and then you got Keyshawn Singleton going from South Florida to Auburn. Which one of these 2 wide receivers do you think ends up having the better year?
So like I said earlier, right? I do not like the Auburn offense really at all. I just don't trust them taking the jump. This offense was like really cool and innovative like 5 years ago. The SEC knows how to handle it now. Like Tennessee's been running this, and like they've really taken a couple steps back, I feel like. I don't think Byron Brown is really like all that special. I like Keyshawn Singleton, but like, what about Kroger? Like, there are other wide receivers who are, I think, similarly talented.
Yep.
I got a lot of questions about the Auburn situation, period. So I'm not the biggest fan of taking those guys. I thought Iverson Hooks was pretty good last year. And like, that was kind of a tough situation, right? Like, UAB was a dumpster fire, and he did pretty well, all things considered. Like, they had Jalen Kitna, who I don't get sued. They had Ryder Burton come in for Jalen Kitna at times. He played a couple games. Like Corey Milner was hurt. He was in, up and down, and then He was like, off the team, then he came back, and like it was a very weird situation.
Yep.
But like through that all, like Hooks is pretty good.
Yep.
I don't think he's like anything special, but he's not a bad player. I don't know that about the level jump for him. It feels very aggressive, but like I think I would rather try to take the upside shot of the wide receiver 2 there than Singleton personally. But like I understand both picks.
Yeah, if Hooks jumps into that, Tez Johnson role for Oregon and it can get productive as that slot wide receiver for the Ducks, then I'd much rather have Hooks there as well. But we talked about him just last year. Mekhi Hughes, very productive where he was at, came up and then just couldn't find a pathway to production for Oregon last year. Hooks could see that kind of situation play out, but I think his opportunity window is a little bit more open than Hughes was.
I mean, who's he really competing with for that role?
It's
like,
really
that's not
Jamari
the
Johnson
role
at this point, right?
Yeah, like I expect Corey Moore to be outside. I expect Evan Stewart to be the other outside wide receiver. So like my guess would be that he is the presumptive starter in the slot. I would think now. I mean, it's an upside play for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know that he's like an Oregon level player, but like I'm more than willing to be wrong on that. I did not watch as much UAB this year as I usually would. But when I saw him, like he looked good. Like he looked like he was better than UAB level competition, but I don't know that he looked like he was like a high end Big Ten receiver. But I guess we'll see, right? I don't know what the NIL deal is like, but obviously Oregon targeted him.
Yep. And then Cooper Barkate, just want to get your brief thoughts coming up from Ivy League to Duke, and then Duke following his quarterback, Darian Mensah, to the University of Miami. Is it a situation where Cooper Barkate could produce as a back-end wide receiver too for fantasy managers at Miami?
Yeah, I think that's possible. I think he's a good player.
Yep.
And I know that Malachi Tony is like the one. He's the best player on the team. But I wouldn't really be surprised if he was like a pretty healthy wide receiver too, Barkate. I think that already having that connection with Mensah is one thing, but he was just reliable, like for Duke. Like he was the best receiver that they had, like hands down, and he stepped in pretty seamlessly from Harvard. And I felt like that was a pretty sizable jump, and like he was really good at Harvard too. So like I don't think this is really a change in the level of competition. Like I've already seen him do it once against the ACC. Like yes, he's on a better team, but like same conference and keeping your quarterback, like, and what I think is a better play caller on offense. So
yeah,
I think he's going to be just fine. I think the 8th round is probably appropriate for him as like a good wide receiver 2 on the team, and probably like a back end wide receiver 2, high end wide receiver 3 in fantasy. I think that's probably fair.
Yep, that's fair. And that's round 8. Let's move on to round 9. 901, Dorian Thomas, tight end at Cal. 902, DJ Vonahum, tight end Iowa. 903, Dylan Wade, tight end UCF. 904, Patrick Overmeyer, tight end at Houston. 905, Ryan Wingo, wide receiver at Texas. 905, David Amador, wide receiver at UTSA. 907, Bear Bachmeier, quarterback BYU. 908, Braxton Woodson, quarterback Navy. 909, Garrett Oakley, tight end at Kansas State. 910, Juice Vereen, tight end at Colorado State. 911, Kalen Chudzinski, tight end at Boston College. And 912, Adam Muhammad, transferred from Washington to Cal at the running back position. Now, of course, round 9 was the last round for this way too early mock draft, so we'll see a lot of people push the tight end position, deservedly so. There's not that Harold Fannin type tight end that's producing for fantasy managers. You're going to see even in drafts outside of the way too early mock draft, and as you get into your either best ball drafts or just drafts in general, you're going to see the tight end pushed down quite a bit. So I think this is only kind of fair to see the tight end position pushed back. But is there a tight end in this group that you think should have been drafted maybe a little higher?
I was a little surprised that we did not get Dorian Thomas going earlier.
Okay.
I thought he was great last year.
Yep.
Like I know this is level up in competition, but like I don't think it's a crazy level up. Like I think the idea, which we talked about earlier with Cal, is like how much can JKS like progress from a just straight production standpoint. Um, and like it is a crowded room for sure, right? Like we've talked about two other wide receivers who we both think are good and like have roles on this team. So like it is crowded for sure. I just thought he would have went earlier considering his production last year. Um, I like the DJ. Is it Von? I don't know how to pronounce it, to be totally honest. Almost always watch football with the sound off, so like I don't hear a lot of a lot of the names every time. So I think it's DJ Bonham. Bonham. I'm not sure.
If I learned if you just say the
Um,
names quickly, you can just kind of skate by it.
Okay. However you pronounce it, I like the pick.
There
I
you
think
go.
he's pretty good as well.
Nailed it. Yeah.
Um, the and I was a little surprised he didn't go higher as well. Just Iowa tight end. Um,
Yeah.
I do have questions though, and maybe you've a better handle on this than me. Um, I'm not sure I want to be taking Garrett Oakley.
Okay.
Like, are is Lincoln Cure just not gonna be a thing? Because 5-star tight end they brought in last season, crazy athletic, crazy high upside. Like the tight end won in his class, the receiving threat as a tight end. Like he didn't get a lot of usage last year. Like he played, but not like a ton. If he's not going to be a thing, like that's pretty concerning to me. Like I would just assume that he's like going to take a step this year. And if he does, like obviously that squeezes part of Oakley's rollout. And like Oakley does a couple things in the offense where like he's not going to be totally taken out, but like
Yep.
I assume the receiving threat is going to be Cure. Is like, am I just off base here?
No, not at all. I think it's a good, at least kind of breakdown into what Kansas State could be at. But they've lost quite a bit of guys as well, pass catching wise on that offense. Jace
Yeah.
Brown's gone, Jerron Bradley's gone. And then tight end wise, I think Lincoln Cure should see an elevated role in the pass game, and that's like you said, it's going to take away from what Garrett Oakley's going to be able to produce as a top 12 option that he was drafted in this situation. But he should still see a good amount of work. But I agree. I'm a little bit lower on him just because of the prospect that Cure is or was at Kansas State. So I think that's a good take.
Yeah, I mean, Oakley was fine last year, but like he wasn't anything special.
No.
He wasn't so great to the point where I'm like, oh man, there's no way Cure's gonna get on the field. Like I think another year. Like I didn't think Cure was ready last year. Like obviously they didn't feel that way either, based on his utilization. But like I would assume he's gonna get maybe a little bit more usage this year. I don't know. I don't think Kansas State can support two tight ends with Avery Johnson. Like even
Yeah,
if
that's fair.
like the room narrows out, right? So maybe it's just not Cure and he's just not as good as we thought he was. But like I don't know. I think he's the highest ranked recruit in Kansas State history. Like you would think that they would get him on the field.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we'll see quite a bit more of him than we saw last year, which doesn't bode well for Garrett Oakley. Ryan Wingo drafted, David Amador drafted, the only two wide receivers picked in this round. Ryan Wingo wasn't great last year. Do we see a situation with Cam Coleman there where Ryan Wingo ends up as the Texas wide receiver one, or is it Cam Coleman's job to lose?
No, it's I don't think those players are even in the same like stratosphere
Yeah.
as each other. Like I think Cam Coleman's so much better than Ryan Wingo is. I'm being really negative tonight. I like listen, Ryan Wingo is a gadgety player. That's just like what he is. Like he isn't a good separator. He's not a like crazy like burner. Like he needs the ball in his hands and he'll make you miss that way. Like that's the kind of receiver that he is. Like way more gadgety. I just don't think that player can be a wide receiver one in like the SEC like that. It's a very, very hard path for a wide receiver to nail. And
Yeah.
like very few have done it historically. Like Rondale Moore is a good example of a player who like is very gadgety, but like could do it. Laviska Shenault did it at Colorado. Like those are the types of players I think that Ryan Wingo is closest to. I just don't think I don't think he's as good as them. One, but two, it's just a hard profile to nail, and I don't think it's a wide receiver one profile. So like, is he a wide receiver two? Texas possibly, yeah, but I don't know like that he's like the clear wide receiver two. So I like Cam Coleman this year. I just have never really been a Ryan Wingo guy.
Yep, that's a fair point. Bear Bachmeyer drafted. Braxton Woodson drafted. And then the other non-tight end drafted in this round was Adam Muhammad going to Cal. Do you think there is a ton of potential for Muhammad at Cal to produce?
I mean, I wish he would have stayed at Washington.
Yeah.
I mean, they were productive last year. I know like there's a ton of turnover, so I don't really know that you can project the same utilization that Raphael had, but I think he's fine. I don't know how good he is, to be honest. Like I like that he was at Washington because I felt like he was going to step into a role that was very clearly defined.
Yep.
I thought he at times he looked better than Jonah Coleman, but Jonah Coleman was injured. So like how much of it was that, and how good is Muhammad if like it's a predictive system already for running backs? I don't know. I like the player. I think like where you were taking him at the end of round 9 is a totally fine value too.
Yep.
I have no issue with him here.
Yep. Yeah. That's any other takes on this round there, Chris?
Yeah, I don't know what to make of the BYU situation, like with Bear Bachmeyer. Like, I don't know. With Kingston not playing, like, I don't really know what the receiving room's gonna look like.
Yeah.
And, like, I thought Bear was pretty okay year one, but like he wasn't wowing me. So I think I might like elsewhere at quarterback, but I understand the pick. Like, he's a really high floor player.
Yeah, considering too, there was a couple QBs that maybe should have been drafted. You know, Caden Creel didn't go drafted. Cale Hullums from Army didn't go drafted. These guys that are produce a lot with their feet. Is there anyone potentially? I know it's going to be kind of hard for you to determine because we only seen each round by slide. Is there any players that maybe you didn't see in this draft that possibly should have went drafted? I know it's putting you a little on the spot because you were told not to look at the draft before, but
I didn't know if he would go, and I understand why he didn't go, so like I'm not shocked. I think I would still take Lenora Sellers in the top 9 rounds.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair.
I understand. Like, I would take him over Bear Bachmeyer.
Yeah.
Like, why not? Like, we know what the upside is. We've seen the upside. He was a top 5 pick last year in underdog drafts. He was like a top 3 round pick in regular CFF drafts. Like, the player didn't disappear. He just had the worst offensive coordinator I've ever seen in my life in Mike Shula calling plays. So I think it's going to be way better with Kendall Briles. And I know the offensive line isn't good, and I know the receivers are bad, but like, he's just like, I don't know. I think the upside is still there. I understand the negative case, and I think the negative case is pretty strong, and like we saw it last year play out, but I still think the upside is really, really high. So I would be taking him in not like, obviously you don't have to take him high.
Yeah.
But like, if you took him round 9, like that's a pretty high upside lottery ticket, at least in my opinion. And I know maybe it's a South Carolina fan in me, like just being like, yeah, like he's the guy, but I don't know. Like, I don't think the situation can be worse. And I think we already saw like the floor outcome. Like, I think the ceiling is still pretty high.
Yeah. I think he's a top 24 quarterback. And this is 24 quarterbacks drafted in this way too early mock. Definitely should have been taken over maybe some of these other quarterbacks. Running back wise, Joe Jackson from Kansas State didn't go drafted, and we've seen that room kind of take a big hit of guys leaving. Is that someone that you would consider taking in the top, 9 rounds as a top 24, top 20 guy?
Yeah, I think that's fair. He's another player where I have an issue like determining how good he really is. I don't know that he's that good. Like, he didn't really impress me a lot last year. Like, when he was running, I was like, don't really love that. But like, it's hard to argue with like how like productive he was.
Yeah.
In place of Dylan Edwards, which was like kind of surprising. So yeah, I think he should have probably gone. Especially looking at some of the other running backs who went, right? Like, I think that the case is like pretty clear for him. Not a player I love, but like a player that I think probably should have gone. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the draft. 9 rounds, way too early mock. Thank you again to all the drafters that came out and took part in this, fun little exercise in the middle of February, at the end of January. I mean, a lot of these picks are a projection of what we think these players are going to be able to do at their prospective programs. Of course, Chris, thank you for joining me on this episode, my first episode without Jared here on Chasing the Natty. I appreciate your time, man.
Absolutely. Yeah. Y'all have been killing it. I'm really, I've been really enjoying having you on board and listening to y'all. And it's going to be another good season.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And make sure you go pre-order the freshman and supplemental guide at campus2canton.com. And while you're there, sign up for one of the great tiers using promo code NATTY, NATTY, for 10% off of your yearly membership. That's the show, Chris. It's been a quite a long one, but very informative. Again, I appreciate your time, brother. Thank you for coming on. Appreciate everyone who stuck around and listened. And we'll see you next week. And Jared's back from the Antarctic, and hopefully he counts enough penguins. That's it for us. We'll see you next time.